Hey, Vlogalogue. Just to clarify, despite what Alex said, I was not actually born in the 60s, so that song is not actually part of my generation. Sorry to disappoint. To Alex's point about pipe dreams, I looked up the etymology, and pipe dreams refer to the visions that people would have when they were smoking opium. I think, now I'm not big in the drug scene, but I think opium has somewhat fallen out of fashion. So maybe it would be better to call them Shroom Dreams at this point. I don't know. It's a hard question, I think. It's somewhat amorphous one. But Alex was really kind of asking, what do we think about future ideas that we know may not ever come to fruition, or some that do. And I think part of this is I want to say nope. Sitting around and fantasizing about stuff that seems impractical seems like a waste of time. That seems sort of disingenuous. I think we have to make a distinction between things that we actually want to set as goals and things that are just, this is kind of fun to think about. I think the stuff that's fun to think about and we have no plan for actually pursuing, it can be addictive. It can be like a drug, and we can sit for days and days just kind of imagining what life would be one day when circumstances change themselves. Circumstances do change, and that's something that I think is important to recognize when you're struggling with depression or anything like that. Is that there are days when you're lying in bed and you don't want to get out of bed and you can't get anything done. You just feel miserable, and it's important to recognize that you will have good days and bad days, even if you don't consciously make an effort to try and have a better or worse day. And so to an extent, there's a little variance there. And you can say, maybe this is just the day where all I get done is I get out of bed for 10 minutes. And maybe tomorrow will be a little bit better. And so just getting through the day is really enough. You don't have to get through the day and set up tomorrow to be better, to get yourself in a better place. But I think if we talk about, well, maybe if I won the lottery, or maybe if I had $1 million, or if I had a family or something, if you're not pursuing those things actively, I think they're really distractions. I think it's we have a tendency, I think, in this generation, and this kind of goes to the anger and self-righteousness thing, but I think there's a tendency to have a very external locus of control, to feel that we are in our situations because of external circumstances and that we don't exert much control over our lives. And empirically, the number of people and a number of environmental factors that exert influence over your life are numerous, but I think we have a lot more control than we think we do. And I think when we say, I'm not happy now because nobody will hire me, or I'm not happy now because the world is a terrible place, it's a bit of a cop-out, and it allows us to it allows us to just sink into misery. When we're talking about future planning outside of that, though, I think thinking about the future can be particularly helpful. One of my big kicks before I was on this whole behavioral psychology bend was financial independence, early retirement, that sort of thing, and financial planning, and figuring out my 401k and investing and stuff like that. And I think when we're talking about the future in the abstract, and we're talking about things that, maybe one day life will be better, it seems a waste of time. But when we're talking about, I would like, if I make this effort now, maybe a year from now, or maybe 10 years from now, or maybe when I'm 65, my life will be better, and it translates into conscious actions that we can make. That's I think clearly a good thing, because it's very hard otherwise to say I want to make my current happiness subservient to future person's happiness. You don't know future you to say that he deserves your money or he deserves to be skinny. That's the thing for me now, is that if I diet and exercise, it means that I'm less happy presently, in the hope that some future person lives a better life, maybe a longer one. And that's it's a hard thing to do. So I think if we're looking at kind of dreaming or envisioning about a future, and it translates into deliberate actions that we can take today, that's a wonderful thing. Pipe dreams, though, I think definitionally are those that we have very little chance of ever achieving, which I think in turn has to mean that we have very little intent to take conscious action to pursue. And when we say that if only circumstance, when we say that, if this crazy thing were to happen maybe one day and blah, and then that'd be super, super awesome, it sort of implies that things aren't super, super awesome right now, which may be the case, but so much of that is psychological, and the addiction and the desire to some future that could be better can distract us from appreciating what is around now. So those are my thoughts, and I will see you guys next. Also, I wanted to respond to Niall real quick, because Niall was all like, complaining is good and it helps people. I think that's certainly true for some folks. I think there are people for whom venting their feelings is helpful. I think it's not borne out in psychological studies. The theory of catharsis really kind of fell apart. But that's only kind of statistically on average. What I was trying to say last week is strictly that for me, allowing myself to be consciously negative is something that has caused me more harm than good. And I certainly wouldn't say that that's true for any individual, though it does appear to be borne out that it's probably true in the aggregate. So anyway, have a good week, Vlogalogue. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.